Hello friends, I made this far. My name is Lauren and today I have for you a collective reading around Pisces season. So Pisces season comes to us this Sunday, February 18th. And let's just talk a little bit. Let's have a little chat about Pisces, and then I'm gonna do this reading with this lovely new deck that I got. Yes, the Golden Eclipse Tarot, and eventually I will do a review on this page. If you've followed me, if you know me, hi, hello, welcome back. But if you've never been here before, hi, hello. I do reviews of tarot decks, but I also talk astrology, the tarot, and the overlap between the two. So let's just dive right in with a little chit chat. It's been a while since I pulled out a card to talk about the astrology through the tarot, but here I have the moon. This is the Morgan Greer Tarot to just illustrate the moon. It's a very classic depiction of the moon card in the tarot, and oddly enough, the moon is not represented by the moon card. The moon is represented by the high priestess. However, Pisces is represented by the moon card. So this is a card that if you are preparing for Pisces season, Piscean energy, and let's just say you're like the majority of people who have a hard time really like grasping what the energy of this energy is, grasping what it means, what it symbolizes, and all that good stuff. This is for you. So pull out your moon card and just start already connecting with it. I'll also try and link at the end of this video some of the past videos I've done with Pisces in mind, and of course Pisces related to the moon card. Piscean energy is about connecting to our subconscious, connecting to our deepest waters, to our deepest layers within the subconscious depths, the dreamlike state, and our intuitive gifts. So what does that mean? That means that we have to be aware of how our energy might be distracted, where we are actually being called to, or where we're being pulled into energetically, because this information is going to actually help us move forward. When you are looking at this card, you will see the two dogs are like the dog and the wolf, and of course the little crustacean. It's a crawdad, it's something like that. These symbols in front of the full moon represent our animalistic nature, our animalistic natural body, our connection with our source, with who we are really, with the magic that we have unfolding, right? So there's also this call of like in and out of the water, right? We see the little crawfish. He can go in and out. He can like explore. With Piscean energy specifically, I feel like it's really important to acknowledge when you need to get out of the water. You're turning into a prune. You're too focused on the dream state, on the subconscious, on the depths. You got to get out of there and live in reality. But you can have both. You can live in the dream world, but you also need to occasionally follow the instincts that tell you when to get out. So I'll leave this up for one more second. As we look at this, we see also the passageway. When we follow our instincts and our intuitive gifts, we find the road in front of us is illuminated, even if others cannot see it. It is a matter of listening to our intuitive gifts. It is a matter of opening ourselves up to knowing that our knowing actually knows. And that can be a hard one to get on. I'm going to be honest. Knowing that our knowing knows, that's actually a really hard one to do. The reason is we are always being told to second guess our intuition, because it doesn't make sense. And to be fair, sometimes your intuition can be wrong. Like, that's not to say that intuition is infallible. It's just tempering those gifts with reality. That is the lesson of Pisces. That is what Pisces is here to try to bridge the gap on, and also reminding us is part of the journey. I just love it. I just love it so much. I'm going to put that up, actually. I'm going to display that in my home. So what are you feeling today, friend? Tell me down below before we even start this reading. How are you feeling? We're still in Aquarius season. Yes, we are still deep in Aquarius season. Now, I think last video I talked about if Capricorn is the structure, Aquarius is the energy that throws everything out the window that does not serve. Well, Aquarius is the long bath that is taken after the energy is expelled. It is about that energy of like connecting with the self, the spiritual, and knowing what needs to be done, right? Knowing what we can trust and not trust, and knowing the difference between someone who's trying to tell us a story versus someone who is actually of service and like cares about our well-being, right? So when we're thinking about Piscean energy, I want you to keep in mind the animals, the pathway, and the structures that kind of ground this image together. Both those towers that kind of create that structure that is necessary to see the path even more clearly. We don't have to be inside the structures, but we have to be mindful of where they are, right? So for this reading today, let's go along and see. Whoopsies. What is the card that's here to teach us? This is a hard one to shuffle, guys. Friends, y'all. What is the card to teach us how to connect with our animal instincts? Maybe I should start reading jumpers. This is funny. Which card is here to teach us about listening to our animal instincts? The World. Love the World. The World is the end journey of the Fool. It's also Saturn. It's Saturn, guys. It is the rings of Saturn. The World is a really great card for closing out. And when I say closing out, I'm not talking about your bar tab. I'm talking about completing something that we can reflect on with joy and acceptance that it was a good thing what we did. If we think about the journey of the Fool, the Fool being just on the cliff, this person, this human, is exposed and floating above it. It's like when you take the faith leap, the step off and you are held, that's like pure magic, right? But it's not as simple as just stepping off, because the Fool's journey is long. It's not just a little like, whatever, I'm just having fun. Like, no, there's like death, there's rebirth, there's temperance, there's the devil. Like, there's all these things that we have to experience in order to meet this fulfilled space where we are at peace. So what do I mean by that? we are the way this card represents our animalistic instinct and how to connect with that is to think back on what you have already accomplished and how it happened. How did you get where you wanted to be, or how did you make the choices that made you feel the most fulfilled? If we look at that as our roadmap moving forward, there are certain things that we can learn, whether it is what not to do or what to do. And that is part of the struggle with admitting that our instincts can be supportive. And sometimes we have to go against the grain of formula. We have to take on certain things that are uncomfortable because they are going to cause us to grow. But this comes with the caveat. When we look back on our past experiences, how can we avoid delusion? I feel like that's an important distinction because there are so many people who are trying in the world, just world experience here. There's so many people out there that are trying to prey on people's hopefulness, right? Do not let past mistakes lead to present outcomes, right? So look at your past successes, but also what was stopping you? Like what was getting in the way? What was not quite supportive for you? And when we think about those things, I think we can come to an understanding of what is and isn't like for our highest good, right? So there are things that we can look back on and say, yes, that was so successful. I need to keep doing this sort of thing. There are just as many where it's like, where were you deluding yourself? Because that's not how you get here. It's not through delusion. It's through the hard work. It's through the dedication. It's through showing up every day. But sometimes when people talk about follow your bliss, follow your joy, like it sounds a little vapid. It's not really sounding grounded. That's when we talk about Pisces, it is such dreamy fucking energy until it's not. And then it's just totally not. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I was so delusional. And yes, delusional can be fun. But make sure your delusions are grounded. I say that as someone who got out of a cult. Whole playlist about that. Anyway, so the world is teaching us to follow our animal bodies. Oh yes, here's another thing. Because this is Saturn, look at the structures that helped you. Structures are good. Structures are necessary. Structures are what keep us going back and knowing how to follow through with something. If you cannot follow through with something, you cannot rise to the occasion. I'm so sorry. Life is difficult and the road is long, but you gotta listen to the facts of the matter. Saturn Daddy is so right. You need structure. You cannot just follow your instincts without that. That's why there's those buildings. You must work with what is there, not with what you dream of exclusively. Like those two things are helpful to each other, but they cannot be exclusive to one another. Now let us ask then, what is a good card for showing the structures of our dreams, for connecting to the structures of our dreams? What is a card to connect us to the structures of our yes. It's Four of Swords, babe. Four of Swords. Four of Swords. Fours are always a rest, right? They are the four legs to a table of stability. Stability of the mind. Rest. Rest is the only way we can stabilize our mind. If we're constantly like going, working, the body does not does not compute. And honestly, Saturn is not here for it. If you're working yourself to death, Saturn is not here for it. Don't get it twisted. You can't just dreamscape your way into the future that you want. However, remember to think about how to bring balance to the body and the mind. The only way to do that is to ensure, well, there's multiple ways to do it, but one thing that really is going to help is knowing how to rest and what is actually good rest. Let me say it for the people in the back. If you are simply on your phone all night, that's not rest. Meditation is rest. Breath work is rest. These are all things that bring us closer to self and actually rejuvenate. It's not scrolling on our phone. I'm sorry, it's just not. I'm not trying to be mean, but that's something that's really coming forward for me. And just to close this out, what is the medicine of this Pisces season? What's the big picture, big takeaway? Sun, the Sun card. Heart-centered is honestly way more helpful than we give it credit. Trust your heart to get you where you need to be. Rest the mind. Look at the process. Watch the process. What has worked, what hasn't worked, and come back to your heart space. Because honestly, the heart is instinctual, maybe more than the brain. So as always I say, take what works, leave what doesn't. If you find this supportive, great. If you interpret what I'm pulling differently, great. There's no one size fits all for this shit. So take a deep breath. Let's go. Okay, yeah. The sun, the heart space, we see it here. We see that reflection. Connect to your higher source, to your power, to what feels right. Rest the body where you can, rest the mind when you can. But with the intention of looking at where you have come from, how you got to where you are now, what is helpful, what is not. And that will bring you home to yourself this season. This season, I feel like as we close out winter, this is the mutable energy of winter, as we close out this season and the season that is winter and the whole astrological wheel, it ends with Pisces. We begin again in Aries. Take time to really evaluate what you're doing and evaluate what has felt good in your heart. Because Lord knows it's going to be helpful to really imagine a world from a heart-centered place, right? That's all I got. I hope you found this helpful. Please like, share, comment, subscribe if you feel called. Share this with someone you love, hate, or lust after, you know, like whatever it is you are feeling called, if you feel called. And if you want to connect with me more, links in my link tree down below. Until next time, my friends, drink water, take your meds, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.